Game week rolls on as we talk about Tennessee and Syracuse on the Rocky Top Roundtable. And guys, it's been a long off season, a lot of twists and turns and humps and bumps, and we finally made it to game week. So what can we expect Saturday?
Oh, I think that's the million-dollar question with both these teams.
You don't know. I thought you were going to give us the answers.
No, I wish I had the answer. I think it's going to be fun to see what this offense kind of morphs into as the season goes along. But what is it out of the gate? How quickly do they get settled in? What kind of adversity do they have early that they handle in terms of busted assignments, guys jumping off sides? I mean, both these teams have so much newness on the offensive side of the ball. Pretty fascinating matchup that way.
Well, and for Tennessee fans, it's the obvious, but everybody wants to see Joey Aguilar. What's your quarterback look like? I mean, that's a huge. It's very rare that you start a season at this level with a quarterback that has never taken a snap for your team before. You never saw it in the spring game or anything. It's really unique. So, that's what it's going to be all about for Tennessee fans is what does your guy look like? We're getting ready to saddle up and ride through the season with him, and you've never seen him throw a football wearing a Tennessee uniform.
Well, and the same thing for Syracuse. They're in the same situation, which is a unique part of this matchup. They don't know any more about their quarterback in terms of what they are in their offense than Tennessee knows about Joey Aguilar right now.
Yeah, and I think that's a difference maker when you look at these two teams. A lot of parallels, as you pointed out, on the offensive end, but where these two teams separate is defensively. Tennessee's got a lot of returners, a solid unit last year. Syracuse, meanwhile, not very sound defensively a season ago. So new quarterbacks, new running backs, new wide receivers. I think Syracuse might be starting 4 to 5 transfers on the offensive line. Tennessee's got a lot of questions offensively too, but the Volunteers obviously bring back a pretty sound defense.
The overreactions are always there on social media or message boards when you have a lot of returning players. Can you imagine the overreactions to a kid who's never even taken, as Rob said, a snap in a spring game or a regular game? Like, this is it's pretty rare. So, it's going to be fascinating to kind of watch how the two teams kind of morph into the game, kind of, how the game is played in the first quarter versus how it's played in the third and fourth quarter. Like, what are the adjustments that are made? Who kind of settles in and gets comfortable? Because I think, there's going to be some nerves because you have a lot of young players on both sides.
Well, they do. And I think, where is Fran Brown's defense at Syracuse in year 2? Eric talked about how much they struggled a season ago. They had 29 points a game a year ago. They just weren't very good. Syracuse outscored everybody. They threw for nearly 5,000 yards. Rob, here's the interesting thing about Fran Brown. Spent 2 years at Georgia, 22 and 23 as a secondary coach. He's familiar with Josh Heupel's offense in terms of trying to manage it and slow it down. Does that give him and this Syracuse defense any kind of advantage or any kind of comfort level because he is prepared for it and been a part of a program that is prepared for it? Not saying they've got the talent Georgia have, but they do at least have seen it before.
Yeah, I think it gives him and his staff a comfort level in preparing for it. And personnel-wise, though, such a vast difference between them and Georgia. I don't think that one's a huge deal. Eric mentioned it. I think this one, Tennessee has such a huge advantage defensively that I think it just gives Josh a lot of wiggle room to kind of find out what he's got offensively. And I thought we saw this from him last year, how he really he coached complimentary football. Or he coached the game, leaning on his defense, leaning on a veteran kicking game, and I think that experience from all of last year will serve him well on Saturday.
Does that mean we're taking the under in this game?
I would still take the over one. I know there's a lot of question marks on both sides, but you know what Tennessee's going to do. They're going to run the football effectively. Again, Syracuse's rush defense last year was not good. It's a lot of newness. I recognize that, but I think Tennessee's going to run the football, so I'm going to take the over in that one. But back to what Brent said about familiarity, Fran Brown and his staff might know a little bit about Josh Heupel's scheme and all that, coaching up there at Georgia for a couple of years, but those players have never seen the tempo. You can't replicate the Tennessee tempo in practice. You just can't. And how fast will Tennessee go this year? We'll see. Maybe that won't be a determining factor in week 1, but Tennessee is going to go fast, and I just don't know if Syracuse's defense is even going to know what hit them.
Well, Josh Heupel wants to hit that fast. He wants to get going at that NASCAR pace right out of the gate. You think about 2 years ago in Nashville against Virginia. Virginia was like sucking wind in that first couple of drives. So they would like to get out of the gates fast. The question is, can they do that? How effectively are they doing that with a new center, 4 new offensive linemen, new wide receivers, and a new quarterback?
How do they call the game? We know they want to go fast, but how do they get Joey Aguilar confident early?
Well, I think I think you play what the defense gives you. If they're going to give you light boxes, you're going to play light boxes and then try to take a shot here and there. I think you have to look at this thing. If I'm Josh Heupel, Eric, I think I'm sitting down with Joey Aguilar and going, okay, man, you're the guy now. All right, you're the guy. You're not competing anymore. What do you like? What are you most comfortable with? Where do you feel like you're tailor-made into the offense right now? We're going to grow as the season goes along, but let's lean early on the stuff that you like and you feel most comfortable with and go play from there.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. You know Tennessee's going to run the football. Tennessee always makes it a point to run the football, establish the run, build off the run, but putting Joey Aguilar in situations to where he can be successful early on, we think maybe that's outside of the pocket. Maybe roll him out a little bit, get him on the move. And what little that we've seen, it looks like he's very comfortable moving outside of the pocket. And I think that's something he excelled at in Appalachian State. So maybe here in week one, it's, all right, let's try to get you on the move a little bit and see what happens. And then, of course, at some point, man, just turn him loose and let's see what you got.
Rob, what one position group are you most confident in heading into this game?
Like on either side of the ball?
Either side of the ball.
Probably defensive line.
Is that Rodney Garner based?
That's a Rodney Garner based, and just they're deep. I mean, they may not have a superstar. They lost. You certainly. I don't know that you have a James Pierce level disruptor, and I'm counting the edges here as well. There's so many guys up there that have been in it. Even losing Hobbs, just really an enviable amount of depth.
For me, I'm with running backs there. Like, I just think that the team is so deep in the running back room that they can kind of throw different bodies at you, different body types, guys that can lean on you, guys that can kind of run around you or have some quickness to them. I'm most intrigued by that room.
Well, I think both of y'all picked those things based on history as much as based on
And the health.
what they look like right now. Josh Heupel's run for 2,500 yards or more 4 straight seasons running the football. So what do you think? Yeah, you lose the Offensive Player of the Year, but history says they can run the football regardless of who's in the room. Defensive line, what does history say? 30-plus years coaching from Rodney Garner. I have belief that he's going to have his group of guys ready. I think that's the natural thing that you kind of gravitate to. I don't disagree with either one of you. I think part of that is based on the history that you've seen. Now, intriguing that you don't know about, and I would put linebackers in the group that you feel comfortable with.
Same. Almost threw them in there. Yeah. I wasn't sure if that'd be cheating.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you talk about Arion Carter and you talk about T-Lander and the experience they have, I think you feel good there. To me, the question is, where's that safety position opposite Turrentine, Eric? And what do they look like, obviously, at the receiver spot where we've been talking about that for, since the Ohio State game ended, I guess, something like that.
We've mentioned it a time or two for sure. I think everybody's intrigued to see what this receiver group looks like, Brazel, Matthews, Staley, and so on. Going back to Tennessee's secondary, again, maybe some questions as the week goes along. Maybe we'll get some clarity. Jamal McCoy obviously not going to play in this game, but you have Steve Angeli. Like Joey Aguilar, no spring practice. I mean, that's college football 2025, right? Tennessee does really well shutting down the run. Running backs, not a whole lot of experience, not a whole lot of work for Syracuse, in terms of returners. Tennessee shuts down the run, puts the football in Steve Angeli's hand. Look at Tennessee's secondary. I think that's the storyline of the football game. Can Tennessee's secondary and defensive line get pressure on him, force him into bad decisions, maybe turn the football over? I think that's a key area in this game. Or will it be much of a work in progress for Tennessee's secondary? The safety position you mentioned, what about Starr? I think that's an individual matchup really we're all looking at.
Normally I ask you all who's the one player that we're going to be talking about on Sunday morning, when you're at church or whatever. I'm not going to go there. Give me a bold take, though, in this game.
You want to start?
Give me a bold take.
Yeah, give me your bold take.
My bold take would be that Braylon Staley goes over 75 yards and scores in this game.
All right, in the slot position. Eric, what you got?
Give me Joey Aguilar throws for over 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. Maybe that's not too bold. A very good outing, number one, for Joey Aguilar, because I think win, lose, draw, he's going to be who everybody's talking about no matter what because he's the quarterback.
Just a dominant defensive performance. I don't know how bold that is, but something, like Syracuse struggles to get 200 yards of offense. They definitely don't sniff 20 points, 4 or 5 sacks, two or three turnovers. Again, I don't know if that's bold, but I think Tennessee's defense will wreck them.
I think 3+ sacks for the defense, and give me Ethan Davis in the end zone at least once.
All right, there you have it. We've figured it out. We know how the game's going to play out. All those things will happen, surely.
No need to watch it.
No need to watch the game. The game is at noon on Saturday. Tennessee and Syracuse from Atlanta. For Eric, Rob, and Brent, I'm Austin for the Rocky Top Roundtable.